This is food for thought. When you create something new, where does inspiration come from? Phil Stanton, who's the co-founder of the Blue Man Group and the Blue School, shares his insights with us in an article entitled Inspiration Lives in Unexpected Places. Something important took place in my life at the age of 18. It seemed mundane and pedestrian back then, maybe even a complete waste of time, and I never thought it would have any relevance to my future life. But in fact, this experience has proved to be not only relevant, but essential to the path I've taken in life. My first job out of high school. I was born in Texas and raised in Georgia. I grew up being a little bit of a tinkerer and a builder, and I got those traits from my dad. He was a minister and a self-taught architectural designer, so he built homes and churches with his own two hands. At the time, I didn't have the slightest inclination to pursue a life in the theater. Even though both my mom and my dad were musicians and singers, I considered myself kind of shy and had no desire to be on stage. After graduating from high school, I needed to find work for the summer, and a friend of the family got me a job in a hardware store. Not a Home Depot like you find on every corner these days, but a store that sold tons of industrial materials. I developed this geeky fascination with gears and nuts and bolts, PVC pipes, stainless steel, and different kinds of metal. Eventually, that job ended and I forgot about it for 10 or 12 years. I ended up at a liberal arts college where I bounced around between several majors until I finally found my element, acting. A few years later, I was living in New York where I met Chris Wink on my very first job as a waiter, and we became friends immediately. I met Matt Goldman soon after. Years later, the three of us would go on to create the Blue Man Group, a multimedia theatrical production that mixes music and comedy. But when we were just starting out, as we were conceiving the character of the Blue Man, all that stuff from my job at the hardware store years before came rushing back to me. All that fascination with pipe and metal and building materials. Matt, Chris, and I constructed strange instruments and other kinds of mechanical things as set pieces, and after scores of performances, televisions, appearances, and tours around the world, well, the rest is history. The point here is that you'll find your element, you'll find your intelligence if you pay attention to each and every experience life has to offer. Something you find along the way, even by accident, just might have the power to change your world.